it turns out, having had my helpful community guide me in the right direction, that this certain man is a convicted murderer who lives in Vienna in Austria. He murdered someone when he was 19 years old, if I remember correctly. And he was running Bitconnect 2.0. And that is the kind of person that you are up against in cryptocurrency. He's not a nice man. He sends me, well, for around 3 or 4 weeks, every single day I would get a death threat via email from bitconnect.io.
Dear crypto community and blockchain buddies across the globe, welcome back to Cryptonites Season 2, the no BS blockchain channel built with the community and for the community. And speaking of BS, tonight we have a really special guest who will not be afraid to tell the brutal truth, limitations about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, but also the good side. No one else than one of the biggest crypto YouTubers, Jordan, aka That Martini Guy. A pleasure to have you, my friend.
Pleasure to be here.
Yes. So, Jordan, you've been through some crazy stuff in your life, and you took a lot of risk. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes. So I basically, the way I got into Bitcoin initially, I'll start from the start. 2013, bought Bitcoin. Never made any money on it somehow by selling it in 2015 for almost the same price as I bought it. Because, I was inexperienced at that time, and I'm not that old, so I was, again, quite immature at that time. However, I rolled basically everything that I had into Ethereum in 2016, and that kind of got me really fired up about cryptocurrency, as it would do. I mean, everyone knows what happens to Ethereum. Unfortunately, I didn't sell it at $1,500. That would have been nice, wouldn't it? Yeah. So the basically that was kind of what fired me up about it, and then I kind of came into the space. But what I noticed during that period of time is there is an awful lot of people raising money don't particularly deserve it, we could say. So then I started doing YouTube about people that didn't deserve to be raising money, people that were raising money, and basically the influencer side of it. So there is many influencers. People don't know the influencer model for making money. And you'd be surprised to hear how much some of these people make, especially during the bull run. When people, these dodgy ICOs, as we all know, that cropped up, they were offering 30, 40, 50k a video. For some of these people. Now these people are no longer in the space. So this is something that interesting, no one really knows. There is a number of people in this space that will have taken, and I know that these deals have existed because I've been offered them myself, and you've got to bear in mind at that time, I only had 17,000 subscribers. So think about that, to January 2018, December 2017. And I've only got that amount of subscribers. You can imagine what someone with 200,000 is getting offered. Or rather 150,000 specifically. There is a lot of money floating around the space, and if someone gives you a lot of money, you've never had it before, there's suddenly a lot of crypto millionaires, and inexperienced people don't know how to spend money. Hence why we're in the current situation with the market, whereby altcoins, well, look at them. How many have been successful in maintaining a steady token model at the same time as maintaining a good business? A lot of them have developed fantastic projects. A lot of them have developed nothing. and you can tell where money has been spent. So if people have been, the burn rate of some of these projects is crazy. So you'll get a CEO that pays himself maybe 200, that 200 is the wrong number actually, maybe 4 to 5 million a year. And he'll pay himself this ridiculous amount of money and then not really do anything, and then the company goes bust in 4 years. Fantastic way of exit scamming, because you can say, oh, I don't know what went on there. And you see it all the time, and it still goes on, and these people still manage to raise money. So it's important for me to point out what is a legitimate project look like? What does a legitimate project do? How does a legitimate project operate? You work with Swissborg. Swissborg is a legitimate project. It is as a good thing. It's developed an application. The application works. It's kind of essentially when you're developing something, or if you're going to set out and sell something to someone. A lot of the ICOs during 2017 were sold as a way for people to make money, and not as a way for people to invest in something that they were sold as basically securities. That's what I'm trying to explain here. They were sold as ways for people to make money rather than invest in something that, if the project goes well and the token appreciates in value because it's got good token utility. Again, token utility, I can go on about for hours about how tokens are misused. One of the most important things in a token economy is that a token is correctly, the way a token has to be used in a way that is not going to impact the token's price unless the token's price is going to stay stable. So when you have a tokenized economy, everyone has designed one that is utterly terrible, is the best way of putting it. No one has designed a good token economy apart from Binance. But even that model is starting to show cracks with the IEOs not performing as well as they did. Perlin that's just happened, the reason that didn't pump, again, nobody will know this, and I think it's important to point it out, but Perlin had been trading OTC for at least 3 months. The token holders had it, and basically the pump had already happened. So nobody knew this when it was listing on Binance, and they'd all bought their IEO tokens. And the reason it didn't pump is because the pump had already happened, because the IEO news had come out, and it pumped on the OTC markets. So and then everyone just dumped it when it went onto Binance because the liquidity was there. Token models are fascinating beasts, and I think that everybody has managed to get it wrong so far because there is no standard. So Binance has kind of set the standard in terms of bringing a good token model to light. When you've got a good token model, it's obvious. Their token went from $7 to $40, I think its top was, or around there. That is a significant gain for such a large cryptocurrency like market cap. But again, what nobody factors in 2017 was that if you have a low market cap, your entire economy is flawed. Most of these tokens need a liquid market cap. They need enough volume, they need enough buyers and sell orders in order to maintain liquidity, so that every time a large user of said platform uses the token, it doesn't dump the price or pump the price, because these are not pump and dump schemes in theory. As much as people would like to counter that thing, what you need to do in that case would be to raise the market cap to a point where it is liquid, and then hold it there with a liquidity provider that would hold the price stable, essentially like a stable coin. And so they were all sold as everything is going to appreciate, but then nobody did anything to help the tokens appreciate. And most of the projects that are out there, they don't need a token. The main use of the token was actually to raise money for the company. Yeah, and so how do you raise something without having to go through all the legal boundaries? You have a token. Oh, isn't that fantastic? We can escape all legal boundaries by just having a token. And it works fantastically well. I'm sure that someone will crack down on it some point in time. I think one of the most interesting cases recently was in America, where I forget what it was called. It was something that had an exit scammed. It was actually a coin that I held because I quite liked the project. It was about basically renting out bandwidth. Didn't need a token. And they basically went to the SEC and said, look, we didn't need a token. And the SEC, I think, fined them the equivalent of what they'd raised. And basically the token doesn't exist anymore. But they did stop them going to prison because they admitted, look, we are a security. And that happened. So
That's fascinating. I mean, there's something that I love about you, Jordan, is that you are the Sherlock Holmes of sniffing the BS.
Oh yeah.
You're so good at tracking, who the scammers are and why. But obviously, we don't want any of our viewers to get scammed eventually. So if you don't mind sharing, have you seen any symptoms of the typical ICO scam, or what are some hints that make you think, oh, these guys are trying to scam the world?
I get approached by them all the time.
Oh, really?
like on a daily basis, I will have scams approach me and ask me if I can promote their project, for example, because I am an influencer. I also run a consultancy company on the side, helping projects go the right way about things rather than going the wrong way about things. And a lot of these projects approach me just because they knew who I am. And most of them are kind of Eastern based because they're still finding it very easy there to raise money. People think it's very difficult to raise money in a market like we have now. No, if you have idiots, then you have money. There is a lot of uneducated investors that are fooled very easily by promises of easy gains. They do not realize the world that they are entering into, especially because most of them are first-time cryptocurrency holders. The best scam, or rather the most famous scam this year, I think, has been Bitconnect 2.0.
Yeah.
So when it came to Bitconnect 2.0, it's a fascinating story. It's a Ponzi smart contract, is Bitconnect 2.0. So Bitconnect, we all know what happened with that. The the project exit scammed after Texas launched whatever it was against them, and it all went to nothing, and everyone lost all the money. Wasn't that a fantastic experience for everyone? Well, it was, because that was a learning experience for everyone. So regardless of how much any money that anyone lost in that, the reason that anyone lost it was because of greed. Greed, and they will learn now not to do that in future, and so unfortunately some people have got to learn it the hard way. Obviously, if someone is offering you 1% a day returns on your money, I don't know where you're coming up with this magical 1% a day figure, but it is impossible, I assure you. As much as I would love to get 1% a day returns, I can't.
So is that the number one BS like hint that you get? We offer you 1%.
Well, lending platforms are still massive in Indonesia, China, South Korea, and India. All those 3 countries, massive lending scheme. In fact, one just recently came down where they had above $1 billion worth of liquid Bitcoin that they had raised. And then because the people that were in charge of it, I believe they got arrested or impeached, or not impeached, that's what you do to a president. But they got in trouble basically with the law, and the law had authority over that. I believe it's being auctioned off now. I don't think it's been market sold. That would be very bad for the market, but it might explain the recent dip. But coming back to Bitconnect 2.0 launched this year, and a man whose name I cannot mention because my video has been taken down for privacy reasons, launched Bitconnect 2.0, and I tracked it from start to finish. This guy, it is a masterpiece. If you want to see it, there is a link to the spider's web on one of the videos. It is pinned at the front of my YouTube channel. I will show it. If you Google That Martini Guy, I will be the first result. Hopefully Alex will link my channel in the description.
Yeah,
as well.
definitely. That was genius.
I'll just link that video actually. It's a good video. I'm really proud of it. But the second video that I put up to that, in that video, it comes to a conclusion whereby I couldn't find the missing piece. I went through all of these old forums, made this spider's web, but I was missing that one photo with a name attached to it. It turns out, having had my helpful community guide me in the right direction, that this certain man is a convicted murderer who lives in Vienna in Austria. He murdered someone when he was 19 years old, if I remember correctly. And that is the kind of person that you are up against in cryptocurrency. He's not a nice man. He sends me, well, for around 3 or 4 weeks, every single day I would get a death threat via email from @bitconnect.io. Can't give the name out for obvious reasons. But this is the kind of person that you're up against. These people are not nice people. They're here purely for money. And I'm someone that I feel it's important I'm not old, so it's important for me to get a good reputation and maintain a good reputation. And you can either do that by being honest about what you're invested in, and I am very honest about it. I did a video the other day explaining what altcoins I'm invested in. Just honesty is very important. It's something that cryptocurrency has been very much lacking. And I've met the scammers. They smile to your face and then they're quite happy to plunge a dagger in your back. Because
is that why like you're doing this? Is because you feel like you want to be honest with the community by exposing? Because a lot of people are scared. They're like, I don't want to dig too deep because it might, be a box of worms, a can of worms.
I think at this point, my motive has changed. So initially it was to be honest about what was going on in cryptocurrency, because there was a lot of things going on and most of them were bad. And there was a lot of bad people in the space, which I've kind of focused my efforts on exposing, and that kind of helped me grow an audience in the cryptocurrency space, because I used to be a car YouTuber before this, believe it or not.
No way.
But so my motive now is kind of to increase. I've exposed the scams already. That's been done. But there is more scams. If at this point you have not learned, then I'm very much concerned. I'll probably switch content back to talking about scams again come the next bull run, because there will be many more of them about. But I think at this point in time, it's more important to focus on what is good. There is a lot of good projects in the space. Bitcoin, for one. Bitcoin is another thing that I've kind of focused more attention on recently. I think that the Lightning Network, and I'm sure that you've had a lot of people on here that have talked about, oh, how fantastic is it? I'm going to tell you right now, in my opinion, it's flawed. Can your grandma use the Lightning Network? No, she cannot. Therefore, it is flawed. We're talking about adoption here. Can these camera crew, these nice men behind us, do they know how to run a Lightning node? Probably not. Not even I know how to run a Lightning node if it's not a Casa node. There is an element of brains that goes with it that most people have never learned. Most people didn't. My dad's a plumber. My mum works for the council. Do they know how to run Lightning Network nodes? No, they don't. So therefore, it's not adoption. it's a niche use case. So therefore you need a layer 2 solution that actually works. And there is so many good offerings out there that one of them will work. I think that human readable addresses is one. Unstoppable domains, I really like what they're doing. I'm not paid to show them at all, but I really like what they're doing. They're creating the ability so whereby I can send Ethereum, Bitcoin, any kind of cryptocurrency from a Trezor wallet now into a Unstoppable Domains account. So you type in That Martini Guy at thatmartiniguy.zil. You type in that, and you can send off a Trezor wallet, Bitcoin, Ethereum, anything you want to this thing. That solves an element of adoption. That is a very good step. But what Bitcoin suffers from is, why would anybody use Bitcoin? It is a pain in the ass. Everything that I have is in cryptocurrency, and there is a reason for that. Because it's very difficult to get it out. Now you can say, look, sell it on Coinbase. I don't want to sell it on Coinbase. I ultimately believe in the future of Bitcoin. I'm just very conflicted. And I'm sure this will suddenly acquire a bunch of dislikes, as it always does. As soon as you mention anything bad about Bitcoin, oh, Bitcoin's the best thing in the world. It's not. It's utter crap. It's flawed. It's 10-year-old technology. Having 3 transactions clearing per second is pathetic. The Visa does what, 15, 20, 30,000 a second? If you had everybody in the world spending Bitcoin, that wouldn't work. Can you imagine the backlog of transactions and how high transaction fees would be? It would be ridiculous. When Craig Wright spammed the network during the last bull run and took fees up to like $60, $70 or whatever it was, that was a real, unfortunately for Bitcoin, that was a real application. So Craig Wright was load testing it essentially and saying, look, this does not work. And he's completely right, it doesn't work. Nor am I a fan of Bitcoin Cash, because that doesn't work. Because Bitcoin Cash is ultimately flawed because all they did is make the block size bigger, and well, what did that achieve? It just delayed the problem for a few years. When Bitcoin starts getting adopted, it doesn't solve anything. You've not solved the scaling issue, you've delayed it. What does Litecoin do? Same thing, doesn't solve it. Having said that, during the bull run, I used Litecoin to process pretty much all of my transactions. Again, Ethereum, unscalable. So all these solutions that people are coming up with that are the best things in the world, they're ultimately flawed without a layer 2 solution. And unless Bitcoin's core community can agree on some kind of layer 2 solution that actually works, and they agree to cross-promote it together rather than shilling Lightning Network that I believe is ultimately doomed. All these people, I went to a Bitcoin conference at the start of this year. All these people, they love Lightning Network. You say anything bad about it, I'm pretty sure they'd behead you. They don't take criticism. And I think it's important to point out, can your grandma use it? No, she can't. Can your parents use it? Can my brother use it, who is a couple of years older than me? No, he can't. Nor does he care. He's not better than what he's got. Cash is currently the king. Cash is king. That's what they say, isn't it? Cash is the best thing that we have. Not maybe for transferring overseas, for example. Maybe I would use Bitcoin in that use case. I have used it in this use case. You convert cash into Bitcoin and then send Bitcoin, which they withdraw into cash in their country. It's a far easier way of sending cash than it is through Western Union, who take a cut. But that is only one small use case. If people are talking about Bitcoin as a peer-to-peer currency, then it doesn't work. That's my opinion on it. It doesn't work without a layer 2 solution.
In that case, so what is the, so you believe layer 2 solutions, you were talking about BNB earlier and talking about how that they have a really good token economy, real utility to it. Do you believe second layer solutions are also an asset class that we should follow and something that's interesting for you, or?
I don't believe second layer solutions should be tokenized. I believe that most things in the space shouldn't be tokenized. I think the only reason people use them, I understand it, is a token model. But what you should do at that point, if you are successful, you should offer a token buyback in order to get rid of the problem that you have. For most projects, the problem is the token. They have these fantastic things that they've built, but nobody will ever use it with a token. So just get rid of it. And you've got tokens that were raising, like projects that were raising maybe 30, 40, $50 million. Just buy it back. But then again, most of these people, they held everything up until the bottom, of which some people I know for a fact sold. They sold the Bitcoin because it's going to zero. No, that is when you buy the Bitcoin. When everybody is selling the Bitcoin. That is how you achieve the greater fool theory. That is how it works. Currently, Bitcoin's whole price model is based around speculation and the greater fool theory. There is no real application for Bitcoin other than overseas payments and easy payments Not fast payments, not instantaneous payments. Can't pay in a shop with it. Oh, but my local shop accepts Bitcoin. It does, yeah, but it takes about, unless you're using the same wallet as them, we've got a good period of time to confirm, unless you want to pay a very high transaction fee. And I'm not anti-Bitcoin. I want to stress this point. Everything that I have is in Bitcoin or altcoins. I mean, probably about 85% of it is in Bitcoin. That's a substantial amount of money. That's how much faith I have that this problem will ultimately be solved. But I don't think it'll be solved anytime soon, because I think that it needs to fail before it's solved. I think that Bitcoin, something needs to happen whereby they just kick everybody out of the core community and get one in. You know what? This is what they say when they hire new people for companies. They want fresh meat. They want fresh blood with new ideas. Bitcoin Core doesn't have that. You've got new devs coming on board, but they're being brainwashed from being very young to think like the old devs, and they want to please them. They want to make them happy, so they're doing exactly like robots what they want them to do. That is not healthy. I just think something needs to change. And yes, Bitcoin in its current form isn't scalable. No, it'll never be scalable. I fully understand that, but I think that a layer 2 solution will come along eventually that will present a better alternative to, and then this comes to the other point: is Bitcoin a store of value, or is it a peer-to-peer currency? Bitcoin is not a store of value, as we kind of witnessed last night. Last night, the price of Bitcoin, for those of you watching this in the future, it dropped 20%. Does a store of value drop 20% in a night? Not unless it's a bad store of value. And then when it comes to, and then you're gonna get people that, yeah, but Bitcoin is worth 1 Bitcoin still. Yeah, of course it is, but what is 1 Bitcoin equivalent to? Because currently the only thing it's used for is paying things in cash. That's Bitcoin's main use case is dollar transactions, not Bitcoin transactions. Bitcoin is pegged. It's got a dollar peg, therefore you see everything, not a peg as such, but as in everyone sees it in dollars. I can't remember what that word is called, as I didn't go to university. Also, Bitcoin doesn't make a very good peer-to-peer currency because it's slow and kind of useless. But it's very good for peer-to-peer transactions overseas. That's something it's fantastic for. They'll do a lot of business with China, do a lot of business with Lithuania, all these areas of the world. Now, people are very scared of these areas of the world when it comes to dealing with them in traditional senses. They go, oh, they're dodgy, or you can't do that with these people. But I think it's important to understand that these are just people like us. Just because they speak a different language does not make them, or speak a different language maybe with a funny accent, that doesn't make them worse people. It doesn't make them scammers. It makes them, everyone is the same as long as you get to know the person. So there's a lot of misconceptions that just being from that area of the world makes it a scam. I do find it interesting, the kind of tax kind of ethics in cryptocurrency, whereby I understand that it goes along with the space, but it might hinder its development. Everyone is based in the Caymans or the Seychelles. But the reason people do this is capital gains taxes, corporations taxes. All these liabilities that you open yourself up to means that you shouldn't base yourself in the country of which you're operating out of.
I 100% agree with you on that. Like, a lot of people go to Zug and they just register their company. All they have is a mailbox, and they say we're a Swiss company. So, like you said, I believe if you put yourself in one company, you need to hire the local people, you need to support the local economy, and build yourself as a company with true principles and values. So I 100% agree with that, yeah. As
much as I've tried, I can't do it in the Caymans. I've got to do it in, I'm joking, I'm not really trying. It's important, like for me, I live now in London. I used to live in Manchester. I've been in the UK my entire life, apart from for holidays and trips abroad and stuff like that. I am a UK citizen, therefore I should pay tax in the UK, no matter how pissing annoying it is. It's not the best thing. So say you earn, I think most cryptocurrencies is kind of based around capital gains tax, however the government values it as a commodity, meaning that you open yourself up to a lot more liabilities, and the regulatory kind of it's not clear. It's so unclear. My girlfriend is a lawyer. She is learning about these things at the moment. She's got 1 year, she's a fully qualified lawyer. And she was speaking with one of the lawyers there today, basically asking, how is cryptocurrency classified in terms of legal stance? It's not. We have to kind of go by hope for the best. Again, this is the reason why people base themselves in the Caymans, because there is no regulation and there never will be. So therefore, in order to not get in trouble with any potential laws that you might come into contact with in the future, you just base yourself there and get rid of the headache. It makes sense. Now, for me, that earns pretty much everything that I have in cryptocurrency, it creates a nightmare. The accountancy costs for this are ridiculous. It's it's very uneconomical to do it here, but it is technically kind of the right thing to do if we want to talk about doing the right thing. Now, you can have tax avoidance. I'm all on board with that. I think that if there is a loophole there, then it should be exploited. They leave loopholes there for people to use. Otherwise, they would close the loopholes.
Absolutely, yeah. No, but I have a follow-up question. So first of all, I love the fact that you're so passionate about this, and I think that's why That Martini Guy has such a strong following, is that you're so harsh and critical because deep inside you actually love it and you want it to succeed. So I think a lot of people, they need to understand that you're not criticizing because of hate, but it's because you want this to, and you have a lot of skin in the game, right? In that sense.
When people talk about, oh, I have $30,000 in it, oh, I have $50,000 in it, you don't have skin in the game compared to if you can afford to put that in, still work a job, still earn income. You don't have skin in the game. My job is cryptocurrency. Everything I earn is in cryptocurrency, and I never cash out. This is my life. I'm critical because I care.
That love-hate relationship is really cool. Just going a little bit back there, because you are, like we were saying earlier, the Sherlock Holmes of sniffing the BS. And you talked about earlier, if a project is guaranteeing you any interest rate, that is one red flag. You're like, okay, you guys are proper scammers. How could I make 1% a day? What are some other things that you look at when you trace, you try to find like proof that this is a scam? Because I think the lessons that you've learned and that Sherlock Holmes approach is something that everyone could use and do their own due diligence so they don't get scammed out
Anyone that advertises it as an investment is a scammer. Anyone that advertises it as a good way of making a return on your money is a scammer. Anyone that proposes that this is going to be the next biggest thing in a kind of an overly pushy way, I would probably call a scammer. Now, this is all just surface things. Of course, we can dig deeper. LinkedIn profiles, do they have them linked on the websites? If they don't, then it's probably a scam. If they do, one of my favorite exit scams ever is called Monero Gold, because a lot of people were involved in it and it cost them a lot of money. So it's kind of a sadistic thing there. But I find it, because the reason it's my favorite is because I almost fell for it. They had the LinkedIn profiles linked on there. The token, I can't remember if it was a pre-mine, but it was a privacy coin, and there was actually some tech behind it. And what happened with them is they were listed on Cryptopia, as most projects back in the day were. The exit scam. We all dearly miss Cryptopia for those lovely exit scams. They made for great content. What can I say? So they were listed on Cryptopia, and it basically. They disappeared like everyone else does, but what they did was they opened a loophole within their smart contract that allowed them to print unlimited tokens. So they didn't have to steal tokens for anyone. They didn't have to. All they had to do is mint new tokens. So what they did is they basically hyped up the project so much, which is how I heard about it. The price was going up and up. It was like 5,000% in a few days, from what I remember. I may be exaggerating it a little bit in my mind, but then they printed all the tokens. Then they sold all the tokens through the market, just basically to zero, and then put a massive sell order on it, and the project was gone. There is an important distinguish to make between scammy and scam. Scammy is, are these people doing it for the right reasons, and are their intentions pure, and is it real? But they're not going to disappear and take your money. That is what a scam does. Bunny token. A fantastic scam again. I want to explain about Bunny token now.
And is that the erotic token?
It is the erotic token. It was advertised all over YouTube last year. YouTube quite happily took multiple, I would imagine millions of dollars, because it was on every single advert that for months. I don't think it raised that much in the end. I think it raised about 3 million, which is actually it's plenty of money. Most startups in the UK probably struggle to raise 50, 100k.
Yeah,
they really struggled to raise money, but crypto at that time, nobody struggled. Now, Bunny token, it's just hilarious what has happened there. The market cap is currently $7,900. To put that into perspective, I think it's only got sell orders. I think that's where we're at this point.
Oh wow, that's really bad, yeah.
But they did launch, which is interesting, and they are still available to see on CoinMarketCap. So if you did want to see it, then you're more than welcome to look it up on CoinMarket. It's a really interesting read. The website again is still live, and you can understand why it fails. Now, there are everything, I would say, kind of erotic associated in cryptocurrency is probably going to exit scam. And I think pretty much every single project I've seen has not had any kind of real advisors, project management. No one is real. No LinkedIn profiles are linked. Bunny Token did link LinkedIn profiles. They did everything that would make them look legitimate, which is why they were able to raise funds. And now currently the model that people are raising funds through is, of course, the infamous IEO model that is kind of failing a little bit now. But the back onto Bunny Token, I love that scam. It's just a great scam, because there is only a certain kind of person that would invest in it. This is why I like it, because these people, they kind of play the greater fool theory to the extreme, to the point of you were just an idiot for believing that it was true. And a lot of these scams originate in southern China, where their ethics code is different from our ethics code in the West. They believe that if you can exploit someone, you can take money from someone, then more fool them, because that's just different cultures. So a lot of these, I think Bunny Token is actually Russian. They hired a lot of Russian XXX stars to do their adverts on YouTube, which is how they grab people's attention. The way that scams operate, I find it fascinating. It's like a lesson in human psychology.
Yeah, it really seems like it's going that deep. And I have a question. So really, first of all, the scam versus scammy is a great definition, because I've seen both, and now I think I understand the difference between the two. I have to ask you, like, some people say that because, all this, or most of these projects are open source, they're on GitHub, easy to fork. In terms of companies that just take all the code and copy and paste that to pretend that they're a new protocol or pretend that they have something of value, would that be considered a scam for you?
I say it depends on how they market it. So if you are to take something that is someone else's and not declare that as someone else's, then that is plagiarism, and you will be prosecuted for plagiarism eventually, because plagiarism of code is stealing like anything else. You can be sued for it. But it really does depend, because I believe that the only way that this whole thing is going to succeed is by sharing. Sharing is caring.
Yeah.
So it's important to remember that this whole space was built on people sharing information. And the only way that you can defeat the ultimate bigger power, which is the centralized authorities that run the world, I'm very much against them. I feel like they abuse their power. This is one of the main reasons I'm a big fan of Bitcoin, is because it takes power away from the state. Although it is ultimately flawed, it does take power away from the state, and I am in favor of decentralization. That is something that is very much important to me. I think sharing code is fine, as long as it's clear that you're sharing code. I have seen projects copy and paste entire projects, just like I've seen projects copy and paste entire websites. It's very common. I find it fascinating, actually. For most of 2017's ICOs and some of 2018's, everyone had the same website, even the same graphics.
Yeah, that little block that would
the
spin.
block thing. And they still have it. And who is paying for this? Because it's not very good. It's like, it's just, who designed this? I'm just not a fan. Why is everyone going for the same look? The whole idea of this space, if you're going to try and scam some money out of some people, is to make something a little bit different, something decent. This whole kind of space in 2017 was built around being scammy, not scamming, but being scammy. A lot of projects were scammy. There's a lot of tactics that projects use to inflate the price of the coins, of which I am in favor of. And I want to make an important distinction here. Market making and pumping the price, although they are two different things, I'm in favor of them. If your token is not a security, which for the most part most of them aren't, then you are in control of your entire economy. And if you neglect your economy, then you neglect your token, and the token price will go down. Looking after the token is integral to the success of all of these companies, and so therefore market making is very important. I can hook you up. On a serious note, market making is very, very important. Having a high market cap, high liquidity, very important, because businesses will fail. Everything in this space is doomed to fail. I'd say the best way of kind of describing this space at the moment.
I love that way, because a lot of people automatically think that market making is a negative thing, but like you said, it brings liquidity, it helps people to trade more. So there is not just the negative dark side, there are positive things about market making as well. Yeah,
definitely. But the whole point of market making is to make it better for the people that hold the token. It's a very kind of selfless act. The problem comes with market making when the team decides, oh, I hold $4 million worth of tokens. That Lamborghini looks rather nice. I think I might have one of those. And although those tokens are yours to sell, you're not thinking in the best interest of the project at that time. And this is what happens with pump and dump, because a lot of projects install this strategy, and then the team gets greedy, and then it goes in the opposite direction, which is what happens with the pump and dump cycles. And in most cases, the team has made their money, and they're done. A lot of the projects, they're just done. They made a lot of money in 2017. A lot of people at the top made a lot of money. And that is one of the reasons, again, why 2017 was flawed. It didn't decentralize anything. It centralized more money than ever before. There was more millionaires created that year, and I guess more millionaires destroyed as well in 2018. I know I was. Actually, good point to make here. I didn't actually make. I think I made about, being completely honest, about $10,000 during the entire bull run. Completely okay with sharing that. Most people go, "How the hell did you do that?" Don't ask. I got no idea. I think I never advertised a project throughout the entire bull market. Again, I did not trust anyone that year. I thought that what was going on, it was more important just to focus on making the space a better place, because it was obvious what was happening. The Bitcoin's price was becoming way overinflated.
That's really interesting. So there's another thing I know. So first of all, I love how you detect scams, and you're looking for flaws in the system to help us have a real honest debate with the community. One thing that you also are good at detecting, and we talked about it briefly a few hours ago. As you know, there was a report showing that between 70 and 75% of all volume on Ethereum and Litecoin, and we're talking about the top currencies, is fake.
Yeah.
How do you respond to that? How does that make you think?
Everything that you see in the market is entirely fabricated, especially from the projects at the top. Do you really think that there are people that are willing to buy and sell these things all the time? The only asset that people are interested in buying and selling is Bitcoin, maybe Ethereum, and Ripple. Ripple is actually quite a popular one. But Ripple has a market maker. Their market maker is very reputable. I'm not going to name names again because I don't want to get in trouble. But Ripple's market maker is very reputable. What the Ripple team do, however, is they sell into the market every day, because that is what Ripple do. Everyone knows it. It's no great secret. Ripple sell into the market, meaning that the price goes down unless there is more public interest. Ripple's volume is provided by their market maker. Again, fantastic market maker. But with all of these things, there are people market making on exchanges. Coinbean, horrific exchange, quite happy to tell you. They stole 18.2 million UD tokens, along with $100 million worth of other tokens from people on their website. They were hacked, or it was an inside job, don't know. But I do know that it's been a right hassle trying to sort it all out. And they won't admit that they were hacked because everything is under maintenance. And it has been under maintenance for a very long time now. In fact, I think almost a year. Going on for a year now. It's a long time to be in maintenance anyway. It's not maintenance. and then you've got other exchanges. IDAX, fantastic example. They recently IEO'd a coin called BlaBla. BlaBla is a social network type thing. Absolutely screwed them. They filled up the entire allocation for IEO tokens with bots. I think around 30,000 was real, and I don't know what the total figure raised was, but most of it was fake. They filled up an allocation for an IEO with bots just to make it look like it sold out quickly.
It's crazy. I mean, I saw a report from Crypto Compare the other day, and literally they dive deep into their due diligence, their research. They have data servers, so they really understand data. And they were saying that in the top 10 crypto exchanges for volume, only one was purely legitimate, and that was Binance. And all the 9 others were completely fake.
I would be inclined to agree with these people. However, I do want to point out that not all Binance's volume is real either. Now, there is a difference between a lot of these exchanges and Binance. That is, Binance doesn't make their own markets.
Exactly, yeah.
But people do
Other people do it. Yeah.
Other people market make on Binance. So if you want to call that real volume, call it real volume. It's technically not real volume, but having a market maker is important, and a lot of people don't realize that these wash trading is literally just to make things look healthy. Without wash trading, if you took out all the wash trading from the market, pretty sure everyone would probably leave this space. because it is not good.
It's funny because, some exchanges, when you go on them, like literally on the sell and the buy orders, you see clones. So it's exactly 150, blah, 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 and then 150, blah, 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 30, blah, 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 30, blah, blah. So it's like a ping pong game that they're setting up.
A fantastic example of this would be LBank exchange. If anyone wants to watch half an hour of a crypto wash trading show, check out LBank, because everything on there is wash traded. Look for the highest volume things. What they do is they don't even trade on the book. This is how bad it's getting. They trade off the book. So they have an order book on the exchange. When no orders are being executed, only hidden orders. We can get into hidden orders as well if you want to talk about that. Hidden orders are different from the orders you can see. So they wash trade hidden orders. So there's a line that's non-stop coming down at the side with all these orders that are happening. Nothing is happening on the order book. There is no volume on the order book, but no one is using an exchange, but somehow they've managed to fabricate $500 million worth of orders per day. I do not understand why they even bother.
So actually, you just mentioned hidden orders. That's something that I came across just a few months ago. Do you mind telling us a little bit more about what is this hidden orders thing?
Right, so on every exchange, there is a hidden order book and there is an order book. Hidden order books are there to kind of regulate prices. Sometimes they're installed by exchanges, sometimes they're installed by very good customers to exchanges that want to offload large amounts of tokens but don't want to scare away the customers. So what you would do is you would ring up the, can I have a hidden order book, please? And basically that is the people that I've dealt with that have used hidden orders. Is mainly it's used for kind of offloading tokens in a I don't know whether it's ethical or unethical, to be honest. It's an interesting dilemma. If you can't see the order, is it good or bad? I personally think it's bad because everything should be out in the open. This is cryptocurrency.
Transparent.
And this is the problem with centralized exchanges, because you can't have a hidden order on DEX. This is one of the reasons why I love IDEX. IDEX is a fantastic exchange because everything is there. It's clear, it's visible. Nothing can be hidden on a decentralized exchange because it's just from wallet to wallet.
Wallet to wallet,
There's no middleman in between that can fiddle the books. And fiddling is very popular at the moment.
Yeah. How far are we from actually having atomic swaps, being able to have a decentralized exchange where you can have liquidity and we can, on a peer-to-peer level, I can send some Ethereum, you can send me some Bitcoin, vice versa?
I'm going to say now that I don't think it'll happen for 15 years.
15 years.
And do you want to know the reason why?
Please, yes.
Because there's no money in atomic swaps. Why would I develop a decentralized exchange when I can set up a leverage trading one? Why would I do it when I can set up any other exchange that will make infinitely more money? A project that I like, that I think is a bit underfunded, is called Metamorph. Metamorph is a decentralized exchange. It's a fantastic platform. They have atomic swaps, but it will never be adopted. They don't have the marketing budget. They cannot compete with anything. Now, the best decentralized exchange out there at the moment, I think, has just gone live, is Nash. Nash is a fantastic project. They have a security token rather than a utility token, which kind of makes it even more legitimate. The security token was sold to US investors, fully regulated, more and more legitimate. This is something when I don't think all the I's and T's have been crossed and dotted. I think that's how you say it. Nash is great. It's got a centralized interface with a decentralized background.
So I have one last question, because since you're so honest, you're brutally honest with everybody, and you're not afraid to say bad things, but for the good of it. I know this is a really hot topic, and everyone's talking about it, and you might be tired of it, but I just want to get your take on Facebook's Libra coin. As you know, France has taken a really hard stance. They took their shot at it. Portugal as well, and Germany as well. How do you feel about how are you reacting to this news? Is that positive news for you, negative news?
I think that Libra will never happen. I think it'd be great if it did happen, because it's progression. I don't care how progression happens, as long as it happens and as long as you can buy Bitcoin with Libra. I think that's important in order to keep that kind of decentralized stance on things. If Libra is going to be a cryptocurrency, that means I can send it to anyone in the world, meaning that it is exchangeable for Bitcoin. Because anyone can set up an exchange that can do that. So ultimately, I am in favor of Libra. I am, of course, in favor of Bitcoin as well. Despite what I have already said, I am in favor of Bitcoin. I'm sure people will still complain. Everyone has a different opinion, and everyone in this space always knows what's the best thing. And I'm again one of those people. However, I'm very much willing to hear other people's opinions on it. I think it's important to listen to what other people have got to say and take it on board. You don't learn by doing that. Back on the Libra point, Libra will never happen, but it'd be great if it did. That's how I'd reply to that.
It did. You know, I think that a lot of people say, I remember some quotes, not exactly, but they're saying like, angry customers are your best source of learning. And in that way, sometimes, you know, when you get heated and emotional, I feel like, you know, that's the way we can learn, and they need to hear this.
Yep.
They need to hear about the scams you talked about. They need to hear about the fake volume. They need to hear about the wash trading, about the ICO issues. I mean, it's reality, right?
I think that angry customers, you learn the most from them. You also just learning from speaking to people. Like, since coming into this space, learning from speaking to them is massive. You can learn so much just by listening to someone that's in a different sector. It's a very, very, not only is it lucrative to listen to people, of course you can learn what they do and kind of take it on board and then maybe exercise something yourself. You can also use that person as a contact. There's so many different avenues of revenue in this space. There's so many different ways to progress the space at the same time as having an income that I think this space is hugely underutilized, and the people that are utilizing it for the wrong reasons because they're here for the money and they don't care about the space.
That Martini Guy, aka Jordan, it was a pleasure having you, my friend. And
is.
please keep doing your research, keep being the Sherlock Holmes, and questioning all the stuff that we need to look at and face reality, you know?
I will, so long as my YouTube channel is not banned, because that keeps on almost happening.
So far, you've done an amazing job, my friend. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And guys, don't forget to follow That Martini Guy. For those who do not know him, he has some really interesting content, helping you with scams, helping you see the negative side as well, because this is not just all about flowers, unicorns, and princesses, but there are some issues to look at. Don't forget to like, comment if you have any questions. We'll try to get That Martini Guy, aka Jordan, to look at the comments if possible.
Oh,
and
yes,
blast that bell notification so that you can get access to these timeless interviews and be educated to learn more about the crypto space. Look forward to having you guys next week, every Wednesday at 8 o'clock UK time. See you soon.